Hello everyone, I'm David Tesinsky and I'm sending you greetings from Honduras, where I'm currently finishing my book called Different Beauty, and I'm relaxing after quite a hardcore mission in Guatemala, near the Caribbean Sea, literally like 4 or 5 blocks, and I'll be telling you my personal opinions and views. I can only share my experience and my knowledge. For example, my aim is to kill stereotypes and open eyes, and I consider photography as a cure that can open eyes, and as a weapon that can kill stereotypes, or even as a cake that can please your soul or your eyes. I personally search for controversy, as I want to shock people because I think it's the way to open eyes and possibly even change something. Every shock in you could possibly cause some kind of strong feeling, for example, excitement or anger at the world, or a strong sense of harmony or agreement. Once an old shaman slash Buddhist in Malaysia told me, art is like shamanism. I am a shaman as much as you are if you create something. And he explained it to me like if I'm opening eyes through my own personal, very authentic way of expression, and if it's the way that I can explain something to others, show them something, and make them understand something, it's like shamanism. It must have something more than just a form of expression, like photography or music or painting. If it has something more, if it has part of you, it's good because without your spirit, it has no value. That's why photography without the spirit is just a picture. I don't like the term documentary as it sounds kind of dry to me, and it actually can be dry, but if you do it authentic and creative way and put a bit of yourself in it, it can be artistic and documentary at the same time. Documentary is just a word and one of the genres slash boxes, and it's hard to be photojournalist. If you don't send photos fast to the magazine or to an agency, the pictures might get so-called old dated. That does not apply for long-term projects, of course. Sometimes editors often they don't even react, and you can't even be sure if they have seen it. If you have found a good or working contact at all, sometimes they react, but it's already too old because they react too late, even though it's not your fault that they review it too late, and that's also quite problematic if you don't have really a good communication with like the photo editor. And if you do a project abroad, sometimes you don't even cover the travel expenses. And finally, if someone is interested, they sometimes offer you cost of like 4 days of your stay. And imagine that you've been doing the project somewhere far away from your home for a few months, and they just give you like offer you a little cash for that. For this, the assignments are the best. From my experience, it's quite difficult to get a good assignment, if at all. And some people are wondering why their pictures are not published ever, and that being a photojournalist sucks. And sometimes they give up and they say things like, "Yeah, photojournalism sucks, and all the people are bad and they don't know what they're doing." Well, maybe, but sometimes it's because their picture sucks. And some people make great pictures, but they are badly connected. Some people work for a magazine or an agency and create very average content, and they are paid very well, or even great. And some people are great in what they are doing, and they are doing it really well, and they get paid very well, and the way they deserve. So reality and paths of lives of photojournalists are quite different. It's really hard to be a photojournalist in different terms, not just to get published or to even have the skills or have your own views, because for that you must have certain state of mind. For example, I'm traveling already about 65 days and I spent crazy amount of money for that. And so far, it seems that nobody would be interested in my project about the gangs. More like relation of the police and the gangs, and really, really, I've been going through really crazy times. And in Mexico, I couldn't find anything. Maybe it's because I'm personally looking for really crazy and shocking things. You might be thinking like Mexico is full of these things. Well, if you're looking for things that haven't been photographed many times, then it's quite tricky. And if I don't only talk about the photojournalistic part, then you can consider it as a part of your life. It's like your lifestyle being photojournalist, or you can even be nomad. I had to go to dentist 7 times. Again, it's my own personal problem, but it can happen to you. Then I get inflammation of a finger. Then I get stomach problems, and I'm not talking about the financial problems and the fact that nobody's responding to my emails about my future projects, and my only debit card stopped working, and stuff like that. So it's not just like photographing. Photographing is like really small parts to me because I'm not going with a camera on my neck all the time, not photographing everything. Sometimes I'm thinking like if it's good or if it's not, but on a daily basis, I don't see moments that I would like to capture personally. But I understand some photographers are having the camera always. But yeah, and I found out that after 10 years of doing this, more than 10 years, some people, I would even say something between some and a lot of people, they envy my lifestyle, but they envy something that they only think that exists, but it's unreal thought. They think how I'm traveling all the world and how I'm selling pictures and how it's all nice. Well, on one side, it's kind of a truth, but it's just one side of the coin. They like to compare me to themselves, and they like to tell like how they have to go to their work daily basis every day from 9 to 5 and stuff like that, and how they can afford go for a vacation just twice a year, for maybe 2 weeks. And but yeah, first of all, you choose this kind of life. Nobody's pushing you to do this kind of job that you're doing that you don't like. And secondary, comparing your lifestyles with mine does not make any sense because I don't consider my trip as a vacation at all. It's more like hardcore missions, or at least very difficult missions. And yeah, I'm not interested personally in all-inclusive resort stands and stuff like that. I'm up to like real adventure, but for sure, all-inclusive must be really good for the resting time. And some people are telling me before my trips, have a really good time, really enjoy it. Well, there's definitely nothing bad about it, and I appreciate that. But it just seems that some people have no idea what I'm doing last 10 years. For example, recently, a couple of days, well, now it's more like 10 days ago, but I went to spend 24 hours with volunteering firefighters slash lifeguard, and I've been at their station, at the central station, and I've been doing my things on a computer, and I was just waiting. They were all just waiting for the next time that the emergency alarm will be ringing, which meant like I had to leave everything I'm doing, and we all had to jump very fast into the car and go to another tragedy. Uh, it was really long hours of really crazy rides around the city, like more crazy than GTA. Different cases, broken legs, and vomiting teenager suffering for hepatitis. Hepatitis, I don't know the pronunciation. Excuse me, English is not my native language. And then in the end, the last mission, I didn't expect anything, uh, and I've seen a lot during that day, but I didn't expect that it would be such a crazy, shocking scene to me. We went to the corner. It was dark already. We went to the corner building, and I just seen like dead body, and it was like a huge amount of blood everywhere on the walls, on the ground, like huge amount of blood. And except of my dad grandfather and few people that committed suicide by jumping out of a bridge that I was growing up under. I don't think I've seen any dead body. And in a moment that was even more shocking, a little girl was running into the scene. Police didn't want to let her go in, and she appeared to be her daughter, and she was screaming "Mama, Mama," and she was crying. It was really traumatic to her and all, but also for me. It's pretty crazy lifestyle, but definitely nobody tells you that every photojournalist must cover tragedies only or dead people. Not at all. Just sharing my own experience. Yeah. And also, it took quite a lot of time and documents to be able and allowed to spend such time with the firefighters. And this woman was shot by a gang member for unsolved business with drugs. Apparently, that's what the volunteers said. But police, they always blur. They always say they don't know and stuff like that. That was my subject. I didn't have any very particular narrative, which is, by the way, very important thing to have in journalism. But it was something between a crime scene, hard and risky job of these volunteers that are experiencing a lot of risky situations, and that every day completely for free, and the relation between gangs and the police. So that was my narrative. But also by this, it was kind of an experiment because I was just looking for the story. I was looking for the right story. So I didn't really know exactly what the result would be like. And I didn't want to do it any further after this crazy and strong experience. But I had to if I wanted to finish the story. And the other thing was that some days I haven't done completely anything because it took time and all the documents and stuff. Sometimes they told me I have to wait for 7 days. So, and during these 7 days, I couldn't find any other way to photograph the crime scene. Police couldn't take me like that without any permission. And sometimes it took like meetings with people, and many people were canceling meetings or changing their minds from day to day, or postponing things, postponing the meetings. So it was very stressful and annoying to me sometimes. I didn't want to give up though, and I had the feeling that it was not done yet. And I think this picture of a crying daughter with her dead mother in the puddle of blood is the strongest from the whole series. If you want, you can see the picture on my social medias if you want. They deleted it from Instagram, but it's on my Facebook page. And I am not the type of person who complains. It's just like quite a lot for me recently. And I am always the one saying that life is good. And I am trying to share good vibrations, or at least black and white. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of white, a little bit of black. But I just wanted to give you this as an example of my lifestyle of a photojournalist. And again, that's just the box. I'm as much a traveler or a creator as a photographer slash photojournalist. And also, some of my projects from past 10 plus years were very successful, kind of. They have been published quite many times, including different local or even major medias, and after years even some other medias, and they've been exhibited in different exhibitions. as my solo exhibitions or as a group exhibitions. And the successful projects, some of them they exceeded the travel cost many times, but some projects were not really published very much. But some things led to another. So if you don't do it for money, but if it's your lifestyle for real, then you should take it as it is, like as I do. But yes, indeed, sometimes I'm very satisfied because I just said to myself, things are the way they supposed to be. But sometimes it's hardcore. I have no money. I just spend it all for the project, and the project was not successful. And all the editors, they wrote me back like, David, these are some really strong or crazy images, but we don't have either space for them right now, or we had something similar recently, or even recently means even 4 months ago, or whatever reason. They're just not buying it. They are not publishing it. Yeah. But some pictures, if I don't sell them to a magazine or a media, sometimes people buy it as a print with a signature, author's print, which I appreciate a lot. And sometimes that's what keeps me above the water, because I sell pictures for a couple €100 or dollars, and if 1 or 2 people buy it every month, then I kind of can survive. And sometimes the unsuccessful projects that haven't been published enough to even cover my travel expenses, sometimes it had another positive results, like somebody invited me for an interview somewhere, which is not necessarily a positive result, but the interview led to another print sales or exhibition invitations. Sometimes there is no immediate success, but after years it can change. For example, a few years ago, I've been to a Ukrainian prison and I was photographing life convicted murderers, mostly women. That's funny. Or I don't know if it's funny. Maybe it's not funny at all. But I was photographing the view to their soul by their eyes, because the eyes are the gate to your soul. And I thought I could just make a portrait series of these murders. And by the way, I had a lot of fun. Babe had a lot of fun. They were really excited that there is a guy in their jail, because I was in the jail for only men, and then in the jail for only women. And now these people are really nice, even though they've killed many people. Many women were there for 5 murders or 3 murders. And their prisons are also very clean. They all have really nice televisions in it. They have possibility to invite their lovers for like €5 a night. So they don't really have a bad life. And if I could compare it to, for example, that's a very random example, but if I would compare it to an average hostel in London, the prison and the conditions they are living in is much better than the average hostel in London, because I doubt that in their jail there will be like women kissing in your bed where you're supposed to sleep high on acid, so like in London. And anyway, so after many years, and by the way, this series was not really published anywhere before. Before a while, I hope I'm not making this very complicated. It's really, really difficult times for me recently. But then this photo series was sold to German Stern. They were interested in buying it and publishing it. And after many years, they contacted me from the German TV RTL, and they wanted to buy 5 of these pictures to decorate their studio. I don't even know what for. I think they were going to make some interviews with murderers, and they just wanted to decorate the whole studio with my pictures, and they offer me really good price. So that's another thing. If you're talking now about how to live as a photojournalist without doing anything else. And one of the also quite recent, few years ago, one of the quite successful projects I've done was photographing activistic event Ende Gelände in Germany, where the activists they they go to stop a coal mine in Western Germany, and 3 days before the whole event, they have their own camp where they are all trained by professionals how to get through heavyweight police, and it's really strong how people really care about the planet. I mean, some people, unfortunately, not so many. A lot of people just talk about it. And so there was a lot of action, and finally there was a moment where the activists had to go through the police, and it was also a very strong moment to capture. And the police, they were beating up the activists. They were not beating up the press. I don't know if in Germany they have that law, or they're just so much against violence more than anywhere else. I'm sure they can, or they do beat up journalists in such opportunities in some other countries. And again, this series, some of the pictures were published by The Guardian and other different magazines. And after quite many years, they contacted me from the German street festival in Berlin, that they want to publish it. That they want to exhibit it in the streets of Berlin during COVID times as a group exhibition about the climate change. And here are some funny things that can happen to you if you show your pictures to random people. So sometimes when you show your, let's say, strongest images to somebody completely random, sometimes they might be like, wow, man, what camera do you use? These pictures are crazy. It's the same like telling to Jimi Hendrix, like, man, what the hell? Where did you get the guitar? It plays really great. Yeah, it's like people might be thinking they might not be considering your own view or your skills or whatever, your talent or anything like that. They might be thinking like everybody can make this kind of picture or song or any kind of performance if you would have the same equipment. Yes, there are people like that walking in the streets. And yeah, and having a camera and considering yourself a photographer is as sci-fi as having a spacesuit and considering yourself an astronaut is by my opinion, this very same thing. And being a photographer has so many meanings. And if you choose two random photographers, they might have nothing in common between each other. Yeah, one photographer could be more likely so far away as like a soccer player from the other photographer, because the only thing that they have in common is just the camera. And I have that feeling that some people they like only the play with the camera. What they like about the whole thing is the fun and all these things around the photo shoot itself, while other people use the camera as a tool to a certain transformation, as like me. And now Honduras is the 60th country that I've visited in my life, and after visiting 60 countries, I've spent unbelievable amount of money that I could probably I would be able probably to buy a house for this money if I wouldn't spend it for the traveling. But I don't regret any single spent dollar. It was all completely worth it. All these moments and people that I have met, it was damn worth it, really. And I also met a couple of my ex-girlfriends. Yeah, by the time I realized that most of the girlfriends that I meet, 99% of the girlfriends are my future ex-girlfriends or something like that. Cheers for that, by the way. There are crazy birds around. They distract me. They make different sounds and they're having sex very often. I had that feeling that in some countries, different beings have more sex than in other countries. I went to also dangerous moments, like in the war zone in Ukraine. That was quite crazy. But I'm today, because I'm very pessimistic, I'm mostly talking about my philosophies, ideologies, and mostly the bad things to be like a photojournalist. But I also went through a lot of good things, and I will never forget that. Even though the pictures that I was making were not really successful or they were not published many times. And now it's even crazier. It's still part of my lifestyle as a photojournalist. It's just life, but it's part of my lifestyle. And it happened to me for the second time this trip, but this time my card is not working at all. It's not anyhow blocked or anything. I just don't have access to the money, so at all. So I have to figure out. I forgot to drink, because when you cheers, I believe you should drink. But still, after all that, I always say that life is good. Now I'm planning to join a few more missions of the police to make the pictures of the crime scene in apparently by the medias, one of the most dangerous cities in the world, San Pedro Sula. And I have no idea how it will be like, and if it will even happen, because I don't know if I will not have to make some documents and ask for permission, or if I can just like hop in on a truck of the police car and just go for the mission with them. And then my plans are changing so much. Sometimes I'm going to a direction, like to a location, and I have a certain narrative. But I've only had thoughts before I came. I came for 2 weeks to Mexico just to be able to go to United States, because for European citizens, European Union citizens, nowadays people cannot go to United States unless you don't have a citizenship, or unless you will not spend, if you will not spend like 2 weeks somewhere else out of like European Union or countries that are not really hardcorely affected by COVID. So that's why I wanted to go to Mexico for 2 weeks to travel in California with my cousin. But instead of 2 weeks in Mexico, I was there about 40 days. And instead of going, even after 40 days, up to California, I went down to Guatemala and I went all through these crazy things. And then I went to El Salvador, and now I'm in Honduras. And instead of going to California, I am going even further. So then I will go to Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and maybe even Panama and Colombia, because that's my state of mind. I'm in that life position that I don't really feel like coming back home. It's just transformation. I don't really feel that depressive. Like, it's just I don't really know what to do exactly, and this is my life path, and I feel it's going the way it should go, even though I don't I don't even I don't even know why I care so much about that I don't have access to my card, because I don't even really have much money there. But still, it is what it is. And anyway, life is good. I was thinking to go to swim a little bit in Caribbean, but I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna happen, because it's a stormy weather here on a daily basis, and I'm not really used to talking to the computer so much. So now I'm just looking at myself. I look good. Anyway, life is good, and that's probably all I wanted to share with you. So, cheers again.